Hello, welcome back to Meta Perfume. I am Emily here today with Tixie. Oh, she's busy. Sorry. And I'm going to cover my spring fragrance collection today. It is, I think, my biggest collection. I mean, when I pulled everything out and looked at it, I was really shocked at how big the collection of spring-ish perfumes is. And you know, there's some that I think are good for transition. Some of them might be good for like the transition from fall to or winter to spring, and those would probably, you know, also work well for summer to fall. But I'll note which ones I think are best for that, and I'm going to go through. I'm not going to feature too many of the notes. I'm not sure if I'll be able to edit this video. I can try. Last time I tried, they wouldn't let me upload, but I deleted a bunch of stuff on my phone, so hopefully it would work. I also have my Starbucks. So I developed a bit of a Starbucks addiction over the fall. I've been trying to cut back, minimize Starbucks. I'd also hone my favorite drink, and I think this might be it. This is coffee frappuccino with 6 pumps of vanilla syrup. That's all. It's delicious. So let's get into it. Also, I only need 5 more subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed and you watch my videos, please subscribe. It's all so fast, so easy. It would really help me. Only need 5 to be to my 1,000. We also need 4,000 watch hours, and I'm like 1,800 watch hours from the 4,000. So this is going to be a longer video, just so you know, because there's a lot of fragrances and I need to get that watch time up. And so if you felt like putting a playlist of mine on and turning down the volume and just letting it play all night, you know, to help me reach that goal, I wouldn't be mad about it. But let's get into the spring collection. So I think I'll start with like my least favorite to my most, but I mean, this is my collection. So generally these are fragrances that I picked up and have kept in the full size for the most. I have a couple minis in here just because I like them a lot and I think that, you know, they're worth mentioning, so I'm gonna go through those. But I think I'm gonna start with like my least to my most, and not in like exact order, excuse me, but you know, in approximate order. So anyway, let me start with the Shiseido Zen. Shiseido Zen is a grapefruity, piney, very complex, and those are the 2 notes I think of, grapefruit and pine. People say this resembles Coco Chanel Mademoiselle, or Coco Mademoiselle. And I don't get that. I don't know why they say that, but it's like, it's complex like that, but it's more, I think it's more unisex. This reminds me of like a mall in Tokyo when I first got it. I'm sure I've said that in another video, but it's nice. I know some people really love it. This is one of Demi Rollin's favorites. That's why I picked it up. And I have got I had my friends kind of smell some of my fragrances, and one of my friends who's kind of picky said this was one of her favorites too. So, you know, fits to your taste. It's very refreshing and light, kind of juicy, springy. Shiseido Zen. And then I've got this Armaf Italiano Donna. This is a dry raspberry, not sweet. I think a little bit of musk, but mostly it smells like a tart, I guess, raspberry without the sweetness in it. And I like to layer this with a sweeter fragrance, which is why it's kind of going towards the bottom end, because on its own I don't really wear it, but if I wear it, I'll layer it with maybe like by Julia Has a Gun, because that's got another like sweeter raspberry component. But it's not a bad fragrance, especially if you like an unsweet but fruity fragrance. So that is Vivo, Italiano Donna Vivo by Armaf. There. And then Got an Elizabeth Arden here. This is a like powdery purple flower. Again, not really sweet, but very like fresh rain, purple flower, early spring kind of powdery. I think there might be orris root in it, which helps with that powdery component. It's a nice fragrance. That is True Love by Elizabeth Arden. I have another Armaf. Sorry. The Armaf is the La Femme Eau de Parfum. This is a more fruity. It's got like a plum note. I like plum in a fragrance, but it's very, I think it's very youthful. I wouldn't say it's like juvenile, but it's definitely like a fragrance that teenagers could probably wear because it's just light, fruity, a little bit floral. Oh, I don't want to spray it. I keep thinking like, oh, I'm gonna spray, but I shouldn't spray. There's so many. I'll just be covered in fragrance. But yeah, this is a nice, not super great longevity, but if you like a plum note, you want something light and inexpensive, La Femme by Armaf is a good one. Okay. Next I've got a Guerlain. This is Eau de Guerlain, and it is a lemon balm. I think this smells like Lemon Pledge, like furniture cleaner. It's nice. It's one of those fragrances I would strictly relegate to the day. I might wear it just like first thing in the morning because it's pretty uplifting with that lemon note, but it does resemble a lot that cleaning product, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's not a bad fragrance, especially if you like lemon. It's nice, light, airy. I'd say this could go spring to summer even. So that's Guerlain, Eau de Guerlain. I'll go with another Guerlain that is fairly springy. This is the Après Landais Eau de Toilette. And that is another violet, I think, and purple flower, like fresh rain, early spring, lots of purple flowers in your yard. Violet, I think Après Landais might mean after the rain. So yeah, this is a really, another not sweet, but like floral, dry floral, purple floral, fresh, but I wouldn't say it's powdery. Like medium longevity. That's Après Landais by Guerlain. And oh, there's so much here. Another Armaf. What do they have? This is Minion Black by Armaf, and this is a pear, another pear note. I actually really like this one. Maybe I should have put it higher in my my organized set. I just kind of roughly grouped from most to least, but this is a really nice fragrance. It's definitely fruity. It's got a little warmth, like it's got maybe a base that's a little bit more cozy. I'm not sure what's in the base. I'll put the notes up here. But I do really enjoy this one, and it's a pear that's not, it's pretty distinct from other pear fragrances that I have in that it's got a little bit more warmth, I'd say, and it's not like in your face pear. I think the pear note is more subtle, but it's definitely there. It's good. Minion Black. This is definitely my preference. There's a Minion Red, and that one, I might have given it away. Didn't really care for that one as much, but the Minion Black is delightful. Do like that. And the longevity is pretty good. I mean, it's probably like 6 or 7 hours on this, so not bad value. Okay. Next, I've got a unisex fragrance. This is from 4711. This is their Remix Cologne. I think most of the 4711 fragrances are unisex or masculine. This one has got a kind of crispy, orange, not a sweet orange, but more of like a bright, I want to say almost like a, not pine, but maybe like a whisper of a pine or a bergamot probably. That's probably what it is actually, but not overwhelming. The orange is more prominent than the bergamot is, but that is the 4711 Remix Cologne by them. One of my minis, this is the Victoria's Secret Tease, which I think is a very sexy fragrance. And it's very feminine, fruity, sweet, like you would think Victoria's Secret would be, and it is. Decent longevity. It reminds me, you know, it takes me back a few decades. This one's been around for a while, pretty popular, but definitely like a sweet, feminine, girly girl fragrance. That is Tease by Victoria's Secret. So many. Next I'll have the Jimmy Choo Blossom, and this is another fruity floral. Maybe a little heavier on the fruit than the floral. Yeah, this is again a very feminine fragrance. Feminine. I used to wear this a lot, but I've kind of slowed down, so you can see it's made a little dent. Again, this is, I think, young people can get into this, like 20s, early 20s, teenagers even, because it is just very like uncomplicated, nice, feminine, fruity flowers. Nothing too overwhelming, easy to wear. Jimmy Choo Blossom, like that. Next, I have a Marc Jacobs, the Decadence Oh So Decadent. This is the lighter spring version of this. The Marc Jacobs Decadence is kind of the one that came out first, the main one. This one is a more light spring fruity version. This is a heavy pear, lots of pear in this fragrance. And this one is actually very reminiscent of another one that is a little bit less expensive, and it always reminds me, these two remind me of each other. This is Curious, I think, by Britney Spears, and I think it smells the most like this, but cheaper, basically. This is a pretty inexpensive one of Britney's first releases. I don't know how much it goes for, probably like less than $15, maybe even on Fragrantica, or on Fragrance Net, sorry. And it smells a lot like this, but this one smells more expensive. It smells like higher quality ingredients, less kind of sharp edges, but pear is the most prominent note in both of these. And it reminds me of spring big time. So that's nice. I don't think it smells very much like Decadence. Like, it's not a very close flanker in my opinion. That one is a lot more deep and like sultry. This one is more light and playful with that fruity component. So Marc Jacobs Decadence Oh So Decadent. It's another good spring fragrance. And another unisex fragrance that I have is the Araf Niche Sapphire. And this is a nice, like, yeah, definitely unisex, but it's really refreshing. It's really refreshing, like clean smelling, not soapy so much, but it does have that like fresh out of the shower, use some invigorating shower gel kind of scent to it. I think definitely men and women can both wear this. It'd be a good gym scent because it's nice, like light, fresh, unoffensive, not strong, but just very like very clean, fruity, probably a little bergamot, not a ton. I'll put the notes up here. I'm not sure what's in it, but it's good. I like this one too. This is from the Araf Niche line. This is Sapphire. That's a good one. I have another Guerlain. This is Shalamar Soufflé de Parfum. And this is the only Shalamar I own. And Shalamar is a very classic, distinct fragrance. This one is like a lemon souffle. It's kind of got a gourmand feel to it, with lemon as a prominent, but also this vanilla, I think. And it's just very yummy, like a baked good, baked cookies with lemon and vanilla. I would say this one is maybe a like winter to spring transition fragrance with moderate longevity, 6 to 8 hours. So quality fragrance, Shalamar Soufflé de Parfum. And next I have another Britney. This Britney is, oh, thank you for making it so, Blissful Fantasy. Blissful Fantasy. And this is a white floral balm, like very, very rich smelling white floral fragrance. Strong. Oh, I kind of want to spray it, but I'm not going to. Yeah, if you like white florals, you probably want to pick this up. I mean, it's one of those not too expensive Blissful Fantasy fragrances that just smells, reminds me of like a princess. Like a princess would wear this in the spring in the garden. It's probably the most floral of the Fantasy line. So Blissful Fantasy, very good for spring, very white floral, strong. Now I'm getting into the ones I really like a lot. So this is Dior Addict Eau de Parfum. No, Eau de Toilette. Eau de Toilette. And it's very different from the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Toilette is the light, clear one. I think the Eau de Parfum is the dark one. And people go crazy for the dark one, but I always preferred this light one. It's kind of refreshing. It's very sophisticated smelling. Moderate longevity, like 6 hours probably. That is Dior Addict Eau de Toilette. That's what that is. So that is a good one. I've got some Hermes fragrances. I would say this is the Un Jardin sur le Nil by Hermes. This is a unisex fragrance that was inspired by like a vegetable garden. So I think it's a really unique fragrance. It's really light. And it's definitely not like anything else I have in my collection. I think there's carrot seed in here. It's got just a very like crisp, unusual, summery light scent to it. And I think both men and women could wear this. I think this is a good like transition. You could wear this in the summer or the spring, or transition from summer to spring. Hermes Un Jardin sur le Nil. It's yummy. Next is a nice rose cannabis fragrance. This is the Flora Botanica by Balenciaga. And it is very nice. It's got that interesting subtle rose. The rose is subtle and the cannabis note is also subtle, but it's an interesting and cool combination together. So it makes for like just a very light rose fragrance. That is Flora Botanica by Balenciaga. Very nice. Next I have one of my favorite Pacifica fragrances. Has poor longevity, but I love the scent. It's very unique. It's a sage heavy fragrance called Sage Me. Obviously, Sage Me. Yeah, this one is a little addictive. You kind of have to spray a lot though, because it doesn't last for too long. It wears off in 2 hours probably. But the scent when it's on is very lovely. Sage, it's kind of a unisex. I think this could be a unisex fragrance. Yeah, it's not super feminine or masculine, but just very like, if you're driving in the forest with the windows down, breeze is blowing, this is what I think of this like just fresh, oxygenated, uplifting sage scent by Pacifica. Next I have another Hermes fragrance here, and this is the Eau de Rhubarb Écarlate, and this is a rhubarb strong fragrance, like the strongest, most true to rhubarb, but also it's got a floral component that nicely complements the rhubarb. The longevity on this is pretty light, so I would go a little heavy with it, but you could also probably wear this summer to spring or spring to summer, given how light it is, and even fall to fall. So on the edges of summer, I think this would be good. Yeah, spring. Rhubarb, if you like rhubarb, this is one of the best rhubarb fragrances in my opinion, just for the actual like rhubarb. It's the most prominent. You know, obviously Delina has a rhubarb component, but it's also got that lychee and that rose that are very strong. The rhubarb is a smaller component, but this you spray and you're like, yeah, that smells like rhubarb. So if you like that, Rhubarb Écarlate by Hermes, very good. Next I have another small one. This is a perfume oil that an ex gave me, but I actually really like it. And this is the only Paris Hilton perfume that I have. So Paris Hilton perfume oil with, it smells like an apple component, and that's pretty intoxicating. Pretty feminine, but sexy, but not heavy. Yeah, this is a good one. Paris Hilton. I think it's just Paris Hilton. Doesn't say anything else. So next I've got these Happy by Chopard, which is another lemon scent, lemon dolce, Happy Lemon Dolce. And to me this is like the lemon equivalent of Atelier Cologne's Pacific Lime. Pretty sure that's it. And this smells a lot like that to me, but remove the lime and put in lemon. So it's got that sort of like slightly tropical, very uplifting, a little bit like eucalyptus-y kind of scent. I really like this. One of my favorite lemon fragrances, I'd say. This Lemon Dolce, Happy Chopard Lemon Dolce. Nice. Next, Delina, which is probably the most expensive spring fragrance in this collection. Probably, yeah. Had Delina for a while. It is a strong, infamous, famous fragrance. It's got the lychee, the rose, and rhubarb components. Musk. It's very sexy. It's very strong. Great performer. Men love it. It is Delina by Parfums de Marly. Next I have this. Is it Lanvin? Or is it? It starts with an L. I hate that one. I can't remember. Oh, I haven't talked about it in a while. Well, I'll put the name up here. It's a really nice, interesting, I think it's green lilac scent. So it's like very, obviously fresh, but light, interesting, unique, not sweet. Just a good fragrance, generally, for the spring. Next, I have the Salia perfume by Araf, and this is a patchouli and pineapple scent. That's what I think of it as. It's also sexy. I'd say this would be like at nighttime in the spring or winter to spring transition fragrance. It's a little heavier than most of them in my set. If you like a pineapple note, this is a really nice fragrance to pick up, especially if you like that sort of earthy base. I think it complements it really well and is pretty sexy. I've gotten compliments on this. Salia by Araf. Next I have another Britney Spears fragrance. This is Glitter Fantasy. Glitter Fantasy. This fragrance is a little bit underwhelming in my mind. This is like kind of one of the forgettable fantasies. Unfortunately, it's not super unique. It's just kind of a fruity floral fragrance. And I'm not even sure what the fruit is. It's sort of like a non-distinct mix of different fruits and different florals. So it doesn't really stand out, I guess, within the fantasy collection or just generally. It's not a bad fragrance. I mean, it's one of those where if you gave it as a gift, the person probably would like it enough, but it wouldn't be like the best fragrance, or they wouldn't go crazy about it unless they like kind of boring fragrances. So this is Glitter Fantasy by Britney Spears. So I'm not going in total, I mean, if I was going in like least to most favorite, then this would be a little bit lower on the list. So next I have another, this is like classic spring Bright Crystal Absolute by Versace. This to me has got lychee and flowers. It's kind of the prominent, that lychee is pretty strong. I'd say like I can spray too much of this easily, so I like to go really light if I do wear this, but this definitely reminds me of early spring, that fruity floral kind of thing. And it sort of reminds me of the Jimmy Choo Blossom, maybe because they look similar in their packaging, but this one is definitely, oh, it's got yuzu, that's right, yuzu. So that's a distinctive floral fragrance, or citrus note, sorry. That is Versace's Bright Crystal Absolute. Another Britney here. This is Believe by Britney Spears, and this is Guava Patchouli Heavy Fragrance. I do really like this one. I think it's really unique. I do have to like patchouli because it's definitely prominent in that, but the guava is a cool complement to it, and that's I think where the uniqueness comes in. I don't know of any other fragrances that smell like this. So pretty good longevity, I'd say, for a celebrity fragrance, probably 6 or 7 hours. Yep, and if you like kind of an earthy but fruity combo fragrance, Believe is a nice one. Give that a try. Now I have another couple minis I will talk about. I think getting to the other side. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, Peony and Blush Suede. I'm gonna go a little faster. This is Jo Malone Peony and Blush Suede. Again, very floral. That peony note is pretty strong. The suede note is a nice complement. Kind of warms it up a little, makes it a little heavier. So you can go light on this one, I think. You know, Jo Malone fragrances are known for not having incredible longevity, but this one isn't too bad. This longevity here is moderate. It's also got that like clean kind of just showered vibe going on, but it's a floral and it's not a heavy floral. It's kind of a nice day-to-day wear, like easy wear, easy rich. Giorgio Armani Acqua di Gioio by Giorgio Armani. It's definitely like a subtle floral, feminine, kind of pretty, yeah. Acqua di Gioio by Giorgio Armani. Okay, that's all the small ones. So now we're getting to the bigger ones. And these, I've done reviews, like dedicated reviews for most of these fragrances. So if you feel like learning more about any of them, I'm going to cover them pretty quickly. But you could always just look in my video set and find dedicated reviews more in depth of each of these. Red Door Aura. Again, one of my favorite Elizabeth Arden fragrances. Very interesting and unique. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this kind of has like an intoxicating vibe. Decent longevity. It's just a very cool flanker for the Red Door. I definitely prefer this to the original Red Door. Nice. That is Red Door Aura by Elizabeth Arden. Very nice one. Another very springy, I'd say this is a transition, like winter to spring fragrance, and this is my second bottle of this. Provocative Woman by Elizabeth Arden. This has got like a complex ginger, but like a light ginger that sort of kind of mixes subtly with other fragrances. I find like a lot of ginger fragrances have too much ginger for me. That's a little bit too sharp, but this one has a nice kind of subtle ginger component that gives it this unique quality that is pretty sexy. So that is Provocative Woman by Elizabeth Arden. This is a massive bottle. Next I have the Nest fragrances Indigo. Kayak wood. This could potentially be unisex, but it's just leaning a little feminine. And it's just got a really interesting kind of warm, Gaiac wood is like a distinctive wood that's like almost like a tea scent in my, but in a wood, if that makes sense. Yeah, so this is a good one. Indigo by Nest Fragrances. Then I would say this is one of my favorite fragrances. Maybe I should do this last, but that's okay. This is Gucci 2. This is a Kathleen Lights inspired fragrance, or inspired purchase for me. And one of my earliest, this might have been the first blind buy, just because it was like her favorite and she would go on. And I got it and I was like, oh yeah, that's really nice. I think it's got a blackcurrant component, but it's also very like, it's just got a little subtle spiciness to it that makes it kind of intoxicating. Yeah, that's a good one. Gucci 2 by Gucci. I'm pretty sure this was discontinued, unfortunately. Difficult to find. It's another Hermes fragrance, Voyage d'Hermes. Voyage d'Hermes. And this is a unisex fragrance. Very refreshing, refined, definitely kind of right down the middle unisex. I'll spray it. It's definitely got like a cedar or a pine component to it that is light, and this is like definitely a daytime fragrance, I think, with that bright, slightly citrusy, slightly woody, but not heavy at all. Just very light. Voyage d'Hermes by Hermes. Next I have the Mon Guerlain Bloom of Rose. Mon Guerlain Eau de Toilette Bloom of Rose. And this sort of reminds me of the Flora Botanica without the cannabis component. It's got this similar rose that's sort of like a watery rose that's not a heavy rose. It's interesting how much variation there is in the rose note, you know, depending on what it's paired with and maybe what the treatment is. I don't know. But this is definitely a very light rose, springy variant of the Mon Guerlain. And the Mon Guerlain has that, it's just a little richer. Like this is light. Mon Guerlain is also, I think, a spring fragrance. So I'll go about that. This one too. This one has that lavender note that's prominent and a decent amount of vanilla. The Bloom of Rose doesn't really have that. It's all about the watery light rose in this one. Whereas this one is a little more like vanilla, I think, with the color you can see and that lavender component. This is a very beautiful feminine fragrance. I actually think prefer the regular Mon Guerlain to the Bloom of Rose. As you can see, I've used a little bit more. Okay, so one of the only masculine fragrances that I have in my collection, I really love the Platinum Egoiste by Chanel. Classic. To me, it smells quite a bit like Eternity for Men by Calvin Klein, which I also like. But Platinum Egoiste by Chanel, very nice spring fragrance. And this celebrity fragrance, JLo Glow. This is, I think, the original. And I wear this a lot to work out because, you know, JLo's like one of the healthiest people in the world, it seems like. And so she just inspires me to be fit. She's a dedicated fitness icon. There's some very like delicate, feminine, light floral fragrance notes in here that make it just, it's not like too heavy of a floral. I like how fresh and light it is. So yeah, that goes into my gym bag sometimes. I want to be inspired by JLo. This is one of my favorite spring fragrances. This is a Jo Malone Blackberry Bay. Kathleen Lights again, I think. No, I think I just smelled this in the store, but she also really likes this one. It's not got great longevity, unfortunately, but it's a really unique, delectable Blackberry Bay scent. Very nice. Blackberry Bay. And then I'll go through the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quickly. We've got Betsy Johnson, Pretty and Punk. I think this has got osmanthus note strong, which is interesting. It's also pretty fruity. Yeah, this is a nice fruity floral. I forget how much I like this one until I smell it again. I get compliments on this too. Pretty and Punk by Betsy Johnson. Old school classic. And then we've got this Milestone by Araf. I think this is similar to the Sapphire by Araf, but this one has a little bit more of a floral component, and I think they're both unisex, but this one leans a little bit more feminine and this one leans just slightly more masculine. So these are very close in terms of just light and fresh. I don't think this really has anything to do with the other Club de Nuit. Club de Nuit Milestone is nothing like Club de Nuit for women, in my opinion. This is like, it smells like honey to me, but there's no honey in this. It's just got like a big complex mix of things that end up smelling kind of like a subtle honey note, which is nice. And this, I believe, is the flanker to Coco Mademoiselle, or not flanker, I'm sorry, a dupe for Coco Mademoiselle. It smells absolutely nothing like Club de Nuit Milestone and absolutely nothing like the Club de Nuit for Women Intense, but they're all good. I have a video popular on this range, or at least where my current fragrance is in this range as well, if you want a more in-depth review of that. And then, okay, this one might not have been so high on the list. It's not like my ultimate favorite, but I do like it. This is the Red Door Revealed, another Red Door flanker. Yeah, this is another interesting floral. It's hit or miss though. Some people are like, there's something in there that's weird. I enjoy it. Maybe I got a good bottle. I don't know. So that is Red Door Revealed by Elizabeth Arden. And then the last two, I'm almost done with this long video, are Pacifica's Tomboy Vibes, which is another cannabis and orange flower fragrance. This is pretty low longevity. I'd say like 3 hours maybe, but it's just very like easy reach, grab and go. Excuse me. Yeah, the cannabis is a little heavier. It's a little bit more like the cannabis in Flora Botanica is offset by the rose, and that retains a pretty feminine quality. This one is more unisex, leaning a little bit masculine maybe, but definitely one of my favorite Pacifica fragrances, and the longevity is better than the Sage Me, so that's nice. Where that one lasts like maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, this one's like 3 hours. It's not bad. And then last, I wouldn't say this is my ultimate favorite, but it's pretty high up there. This is, I think, a deliciously interesting light Chopard Soay Niche. So this could be maybe an all year round fragrance too. It's not necessarily very floral, but yeah, it's got that carrot seed note, which is interesting. This is just a cool, unique, fresh Tom Ford fragrance. So anyway, that is my massive collection. Thank you for, if you're watching still, thank you for staying all the way to the end. I really appreciate you. Again, please subscribe and like this video if you liked it, and I will see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.